Right, so one of my twins, Sam, has purchased a VW Caddy Maxi van, 2010 plate, from a police disposal auction. It's an ex-builder's van. It's in quite poor condition cosmetically. Mechanically it's actually quite sound, which is great. So I've been tasked with doing the exterior bodywork, exterior trim and interior trim. Also going to be helping him fit out the rear of the vehicle and carpeting it as well. So in this video I thought it would be good to go over the process for colour changing internal trim. This is textured trim, so it's actually a lot easier than smooth plastic internal trim. First of all, I'll show you the vehicle, show you what the project entails, and then we'll go into the colour change for the plastic. Right, so very quickly, this is the vehicle, 2010 VW Caddy Maxi, as I said, 1.9 litre TDI, bought from a salvage auction as a police disposal. When you buy something like this from a salvage auction, there's no comeback on it. You get what you get. They are quite limited in what they'll tell you in the auction, so it is a bit of a gamble. This vehicle build, by the way, will be featured on Sam's YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description below. He hasn't done much with his channel over the last 12 months because both twins have gone through their Jaguar Land Rover Service Tech apprenticeship, and the last 12 months have been hectic really because of pandemic and the delays in their apprenticeship. They've had to cram a lot into the last 12 months. Okay, so this is a vehicle. What I think he's planning on doing, this is a pre-facelift model, so he's planning on doing the facelift, which I think involves the lights, bonnet, two wings and also the bumper as well. The wing mirrors, they were quite badly done, so he's already stripped those. Going to be doing the internal parts, and the one thing, as I said, I'll cover today is the colour change of the trim. I'm also going to be flattening down, smoothing out the exterior trim that's left and colour coding that, as well as the door handles. But I'll be doing all of this. So I've already pushed this out. That was quite a nasty gouge there and below as well. And obviously I'll be sanding that down and filling it and then painting it. Right, so this is what we're dealing with today. So this is part of the internal trim. This is actually the door, the sliding side door entry point. You could go smooth with this, so take the texture off, but because this has an anti-slip moulding on it, no point in me doing that, and it is quite a lot of work to smooth out textured plastic trim as well. So we're leaving it textured, just going for a colour change. First thing you've got to do is obviously remove the trim, so have a look and study how to do that, because this is a 13-year-old vehicle, and a lot of the plastic clips that retain this in place are quite fragile. If you don't know how to remove the trim, you'll end up snapping a lot of pieces, and sometimes you can actually just destroy the piece itself because you'll snap off the fittings that are actually moulded onto the piece rather than onto the vehicle. First thing we have to do is what's called degrease the part. Sounds complicated, but it's quite easy. What I use for this process is some degreaser. So this is elbow grease. You can buy this in B&M stores, anywhere like that in the UK. It's basically something like G101, or what's even better is Flash Professional. So use a degreaser spray. Also use some washing up liquid or dish soap, a bowl of hot water, a drill, and a selection of drill brushes. So the first thing I do, and this being a builder's van, this was actually covered in concrete, so I've managed to get most of the concrete off, and this is the next step. What I like to do is to take the washing up liquid or dish soap neat, work that in to the surface, and then every now and again dip the drill brush into the hot water and just carry on. This is a nice drill brush fitting. It fits into all the corners. Really good universal brush. I've also got a flat brush as well, which I may use, and a smaller brush for the tight spaces. For me, those are the only 3 drill brushes you really need. So I'll carry on doing this, and then I'll show you what it looks like after this process is complete. Okay, so this is our piece degreased. Just want to compare that to the other side, which I've got to do. Obviously all of this is cement, quite a few other things as well. Again, the drill brush, absolutely ideal for getting this off with. Don't use any harsh chemicals, it will affect the plastic. So I'm going to clean this side, hopefully as good as I've done the other bit, and then we're going to assess any damage, and I'll show you how I go about repairing that. Next thing to do, just assess any damage. So bits like this where obviously the plastic surface has been cut into. I'm going to use some 500 grit sandpaper and just flatten those down, being mindful that because I'm keeping the texture on the plastic, I don't want to smooth that area out. So I'll go all over both pieces and just take off any rough bits. Right, so I've done some sanding. There's still going to be some sanding to do, but what I want to do is get a primer coat on it. That'll give us a even better indication of where the next lot of sanding needs to be. So if this was smooth plastic, the first coat I would actually be using a adhesion promoter for plastic. Because this is textured plastic, not too bothered about it. So the first coat is going to be with a multi-purpose primer, or you can use a plastic primer. Dust coat to begin with, leave that to dry 10 minutes, and then a second coat, and then we'll see where we are with regard to the additional sanding that we need to do. Right, so the primer that I'm going to use, this is on my detailing van, so it's a multi-purpose primer, Isopon. The reason I carry this is because I do all sorts of different minor repairs, scratches, scuffs on black plastic bumpers, textured bumpers, and also some bodywork as well. So having one can of multi-purpose primer is ideal. It's a really good product and it's going to be great for this. First thing I've done is some warm water. Sat the can in warm water for 10 minutes just to bring the contents up to a decent temperature. If you don't do that, hairdryer on the bottom of the can just to warm it up, and then shake it for about 30 seconds. So as I said, we're going to be doing just a light dusting to begin with, the first coat of primer. Don't forget the edges, all of these are going to be exposed. Just make sure that you've got a nice pattern to begin with before you go in near the piece. And rattle cans, they like to be sprayed like that. I hate being sprayed like that. So we're going to have to move this piece about as we spray it. I'm going to do some of the edges first. As I said, just a dusting coat. That's that one done. I get the second piece done, then I'm going to leave it for about 10 minutes. It's important, any spray paint, whether you're using a rattle can or a gun, that you allow the solvents to evaporate before you put the next layer down, and don't put your layers on too thick. What might happen is if you put it on too soon, or if you put it on with a too thick a layer, the solvents will come through the paint and it'll look almost like cracked mud, or it'll start to separate. So 10 minutes now, and then we'll be back with a slightly thicker or more dense second coat. Right, so second coat, slightly thicker. Right, the primers now give me a good look at where we still need some sanding, so some high bits, some rough bits here. 500 sandpaper, get rid of those, good wipe down again, then a decent coat of primer, and we'll see where we are from there. Right, I've sanded down as much as I'm going to. The last coat of primer, I've actually put a high build primer on, because again this is a builder's van, not a very well looked after builder's van either, so there's a lot of gouges and scratches in. If I wanted to get an even better finish, I'd use some plastic filler, which you can get for bumpers, to fill it in and smooth it down, and obviously paint over the top. Not too bothered about that, looks okay as it is. Next thing to do is I'm going to give it its first coat of paint, and the paint I'm going to use is plastic bumper paint in black. Again, warm this up, shake it for about 30 seconds. First coat, just a dusting coat, a light coat, and then probably 2 heavier coats on top of that, and we should be done. Right, so time for the second coat. Left it about 20 minutes between coats. This coat slightly thicker than the first coat, but not too thick again. Don't want to get those solvents coming through and ruining the finish. Right, so that's the 2 entry steps done. Obviously got the centre console, the B pillar covers, and the door cards as well at the front to do. But looks a lot better. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Could have filled in some of these deep gouges, but bearing in mind this is from a builder's van, police disposal, so seized probably for having no insurance, and the builder didn't even think it was worth getting insurance to get the vehicle back. This build, as I said, will be featured on one of my twins' YouTube channels, Sam Malseed, so I'll put a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed this particular video, hit the like button. Again, thank you for watching.